Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. This is episode number 84 for season 2025. And today we're looking at the 2025 AFL Draft recap. We're a few days later than originally planned for this video. I was away in Melbourne watching the AFLW prelim final on the weekend. But we're back and we're ready to, chat everything draft week. We had a couple nights of draft, and then we also had the preseason draft. So we're going to go through each team's draft picks, have a look at what they got, and just a little bit of an analysis of that. If you're new around here, we're the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. I'm Jay. We do this show at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what time of the year it is. There will be another episode this week. Episode 85 will be coming out on Thursday morning. There'll be a look at the AFLW prelims, the wrap-up of those games, and a preview of the big AFLW Grand Final, which is coming up this Saturday night. So make sure you come back for that one. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe or follow button. Every follow, every subscribe, every like, it all helps. Leave a comment. Let me know how your team went in the draft this season. Are you happy with your pickups? Are you not happy? Let me know. So yeah, we're going to run through. We'll start off, have a look at the top 10 quickly, and then we will go club by club alphabetically through every team. And we'll see what we can come up with and who did well, who did bad. And yeah, that's basically what we're going to do here. So top 10 from the draft, is that. So West Coast had number 1 pick. They took Willem Dersma. We'll do a full analysis once we get into the club by club, but I think pretty clear number 1 in the end. I think most of the top 10 was reasonably straightforward. West Coast obviously had pick 2 as well, but their first 2 options at pick 2 were both matched by clubs. Obviously, Zeke Euland went to Gold Coast with pick 2. Under the academy rules, he was a Gold Coast Academy player, so they pick up Zeke at number 2. Harry Dean from Carlton, the father-son, he goes at pick 3 to the Blues, before West Coast finally picked up a player with their second pick, and that was Cooper Duff Titler, who looks a really good pick for them, I think. We'll go into that in shortly, but I think that's a really good pick. Number 5, Dylan Patterson. He was matched by the Gold Coast. Richmond tried to make a play at him. And then at pick 6, they tried to make a run at Daniel Annable, who obviously Brisbane Lions matched as well. So a couple more matched players there before we finally got a run of actual picks that went to the club that they were picked by. Sam Cumming at Richmond, pick 7. Samuel Grill, who I spelt that name incorrectly on that sheet, but just it's GRLJ. He goes pick 8. Pick 9 was Sullivan Roby to the Bombers. Number 10, Jacob Farrow also to the Bombers. So top 10, there it is. 2 Eagles, 2 Gold Coast, 2 Richmond, 2 Bombers, and then singles to Brisbane and Carlton. So only 6 teams took up the picks in the top 10 in the end. 3 players go to finals teams from last year. Daniel Annable to Brisbane, and Zeke Euland and Dylan Patterson to the Gold Coast Suns. Now go through club by club, starting at the Adelaide Crows. In the national draft, they ended up taking 2 players. Pick 22, late in round 1, they pick up Mitchell Marsh, not the cricketer. This is a different one. Not the Bison, but pretty handy pick, I think. Tall forward, gets around the ground quite well. Moves around the ground quite well as well. Not the biggest of bodies, 192 centimetres. So probably more your half forward, roving, tall key forward. Still tall enough to play key forward for sure, no doubt about it. But not the tall key forward. Good prospect though for them. And then Archie Leduc, 197, another key forward. This one a bit taller. Has really high potential. PCL injury this year. So a lot of his numbers this year were affected. He didn't play a full season due to that injury, but I think they've gone big on the key forwards. Obviously, they're looking at Tex Walker retiring probably in the next year or so. So post that, they're probably thinking about it. They do have obviously pretty good key forwards outside of Tex Walker in and have done for the last couple of years. So I don't think it's a major issue of concern, but they obviously want that third key forward, and I think they've got two potential options there. So that's how their national draft went. They then picked up Calamar Chi in the preseason draft from Brisbane. We all knew that was going to happen. Unbelievable that they get him for free, basically. Crazy that he wanted to leave back-to-back premiership team, but sometimes I guess you want to go where you want to go. So he's going to be a massive pickup to this team. They already have some really good players in that sort of position, but maybe he plays more wing for Adelaide than he did. He did sometimes go to the wing for Brisbane. Maybe that's where he goes. We'll see what they have planned for him. But yeah, really good pickup there. And they redrafted Tyler Welsh. We don't really need to go into that too much. Obviously, he's been on their list already. So that's how the Crows went. I think they've looked towards their future and thinking they want to keep forward. That's probably reasonable thing. I don't know. I think maybe their midfield is probably their biggest area that maybe lacks, but at the same time, they do have some good young talent in that midfield that is coming through. Like, I think we all expect to see Sid Draper do a lot better this year. Didn't get huge game time, played like 11 games or something in his first season, but was either sub or subbed out in most of those games. So we didn't see a whole heap of him. I think with a full pre-season under his belt this year, I think we'll expect to see a lot more from him in the midfield in 2026. So yeah, maybe they took this opportunity for key forwards. They saw their opportunity, they went for it. Obviously, Mitchell Marsh is an Adelaide boy, so played for West Adelaide in the SANFL last year, so stays at home, and I think that's reasonably decent for them and for him. Moving on to the reigning premiers, the Brisbane Lions. They end up picking up 4 players in the national draft and get pick 6, which is unbelievable for the reigning premier. Obviously, an academy player for them in Daniel Annable, midfielder, 184 centimetres, maybe one of the best ball winners in the draft this year. Certainly in that conversation if he's not there. It's a stacked midfield at Brisbane, so it's crazy that they've got 3 more midfielders in this draft. But they're just a stacked team all around, aren't they? It's hard to find room for him. There's been talk that if he had been on the AFL list this year that he would have been playing finals for them, which is crazy to think. It's hard to find a spot for him, I think, but at the same time, he's obviously very talented. And a couple of the midfielders are approaching the end of their careers, not that quickly. Like Lachie Neale's still got a little bit in him. Same with Dunkley. McCluggage definitely still has a long time. So, and obviously both Ashcroft boys do as well. So maybe he won't get a huge amount of inside midfield time in his first season. We'll see. Maybe he plays that Levi Ashcroft role from this year. But then what are they going to do with Levi Ashcroft? We'll wait and see. But he's probably too talented not to be getting game time, but he's certainly going to be good coverage for if there are any injuries. Pick 38 was their their next pick. Another academy player, but not their academy, this one. This was West Coast. Did not match this one. 187 centimetre midfielder in Kobe Evans. He's battled a lot of injuries throughout the latter half of this season, so I don't think he did the testing at the end of the year. I think much more of a long-range prospect for them than a first year. I don't think we'll see much of him this year, but potentially 2027 and on, we'll see a bit more of Kobe. Pick 43, I think this is a huge pickup here. Cody Curtin. You'll know the name, brother of Dan Curtin, who obviously had a really outstanding second season in the AFL for Adelaide this year. He's a bit taller than Dan Curtin, who's quite tall. But Cody is he's more than that. He's 200 centimetres tall. From Claremont in the waffle. One of the best goal-kicking tools in the draft this year. He has kicked quite a decent amount of goals. Average goals per game this year was really good. Once again, this is a team that's got some stacked young key forwards and chucked in Oscar Allen this year. So maybe we won't see him straight away. Maybe it'll take a little bit, but he's certainly someone that over the next few years, I think, can really develop into a very, very good key forward. We'll see if that progresses, but pick 43 for him, I think, is an absolute steal by the Brisbane Lions. And pick 44 straight on the back of that, Ty Hayes. He's a semi-mature age pick, 3 years older than most in this draft. Not massive numbers. He's obviously played senior football, just not AFL. 190 centimetre mid. I think he's more of a depth player, certainly for this year. I would imagine I don't expect to see a whole heap of him come 2026, but he's an older, mature body, so you never know, really. He could get opportunities depending on what is happening. He was playing for Southport in the VFL last year. And then they redrafted Lincoln McCarthy, one of the most unlucky players in the AFL over the last couple of years. Obviously playing in the loss in 2023 against Collingwood in the grand final, before missing basically the next 2 seasons, full seasons, when they've been winning premierships. So a little bit unlucky, but that is how it is, and he gets redrafted here. So that is the Brisbane Lions draft day. We jump into the Carlton Blues, and as we mentioned before, they picked up father-son pickup. They matched West Coast's attempt at him at pick number 3, the father-son pickup. His dad, obviously, a Carlton premiership player back in the 90s. In my opinion, the clear number 1 key defender in the draft, not in the competition, but in the draft. There's a few decent ones, but I think Harry Dean is clearly the number 1 key defender. So they get a really good pickup there. Obviously lost Jack Silvani this season at the end of the year. So potentially a replacement for him. Probably not straight away. I wouldn't expect to see him out there straight away. But over the next couple of years, learning the craft from Wiedering will be very beneficial for him as well. So he's not the tallest key defender there is, 194 centimetres. But I think we'll see quite a bit of him, probably certainly from 2027 onwards. Might get a taste of it this year, depending on what the Carlton stocks are like and how they actually are playing, and if there's any injuries, but definitely a good pickup. Pick 45 was Taylor Byrne, general forward. Shown some potential in that forward line as a general forward, but he also has that little bit of midfield experience as well. I think that will probably be his career trajectory, at least, starting as a general forward, maybe a high half forward at times, rotating through midfield, and then potentially later on getting a bit more midfield time. We'll see if that plays out. It might just be that he ends up as a general forward and that's how it is, but pretty decent numbers as a junior, so we'll see how he plays out. But that's pick 45, and pick 47 is Jack Ison, academy player, tall, has a big left boot, 192 centimetres, so quite tall for a midfielder as well. Not the tallest, but certainly taller than the average midfielder. We'll see how he gels into this team as well. Obviously, I don't think he'll get much game time. They have a pretty decent stock of midfielders at Carlton, but a couple are getting on. So there will be a time where post Paddy Cripps, they've got to find some more big bodies in there. Obviously, they get maybe one of the best ball winners from last year's draft rejoining their team this year, who didn't play a game. So that's also going to be a beneficial factor for them going into 2026. They didn't use any picks in the rookie or preseason draft, so no players there. Moving on to Collingwood Magpies. they had a very quiet day one. 0 picks in the first round. Their first pick came at pick 32, where they went and raided Brisbane, who did not match their pick at pick 32 for Tyne Prindable, midfielder from the Brisbane Lions Academy. He's played some VFL. I think he played about 5 or 6 games in the VFL. Numbers were pretty decent with the Allies. He played some really good junior football throughout the year. 182 centimetre midfielder. I think Collingwood are pretty happy with their pickup here of Prindable. Yeah, not much else to say about him other than that. Yeah, they've really rated the midfield players this draft, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that their midfield is well known to be aging. They're trying to find players to start moving into this midfield role to take the pressure off some of the older players. They do have some really good young players. Obviously, Nick Dacos is going into his 5th season, so still very young. But it's probably been their clear aim here in the draft. 37 was another midfielder, Samuel Swadling. Another midfielder, 189 centimetres, similar height to a Scott Pendlebury. Doesn't mean he plays like him. West Perth, so from WA, big ball winner in Colts football. I think he averaged like 35 touches or something ridiculous in his under 18 games over in the Waffle. Probably going to start as a high half forward that rotates through the midfield, I would say, potentially. Whether he joins straight into the team or whether it takes him a while, we'll wait and see how his off-season goes. But he's certainly a player that they will be looking to probably get into that midfield role at some point over the next 2 seasons at Collingwood. Pick 55, they went for the ruckman in Zach McCarthy. Ruck, tall forward option. Been kicking quite a lot of goals. Probably more of a long-term prospect for them. I wouldn't expect to see much of him in 2026, maybe not even much in 2027, but at 199 centimetres, not the tallest of rucks, but as a key forward opportunity as well. I think that's a really good option for him. Pick 57 was Angus Anderson, a midfielder. Mature age, was a big improver in 2025 in his numbers. He played for Sturt in the SANFL for the last couple seasons. He's 4 years older than the draft class, so like 21, 22 years old. 22, just turned 22 a couple months back. Really interesting selection, I guess, but someone that is around about that mature age where you start to reach your peak, and maybe that's something that they're looking at with him as someone that can cover the older brigade a bit come this year, but still also have 5, 6, 7, 10 years maybe in the AFL. So we'll see how that plays out. And then in the preseason draft, they went with Jai Saxena, Indian-born academy player, general forward from the Oakley Chargers. I think a bit of potential there. We'll see if we see much of him over the next year. Probably not. We'll probably see a lot of him in the VFL in 2026. But who knows what the potential of him is. Certainly expect to see him at AFL level at some point, I would say. Next up, we head across to Bomberland. They ended up with 3 first-round draft picks, which is really, really good for them. Did they nail it? I think they did okay on paper, at least at the moment. We'll see how it ends up going. But, yeah, pretty solid little pickup, I think, from them overall to have 3 first-round draft picks. Pick 9, Sullivan Roby, 192 centimetre midfielder, so quite tall, from Eastern Rangers. A bit of a bolter, probably the biggest bolter over the last 12 months in terms of draft. He got bigger height-wise and also in size, and just took his game to another level this year. 20 touches and 2 goals in a game in the Coach League earlier this year. Plays a variety of roles. Probably don't see much midfield time in his first season or so at the Bombers, but certainly a prospect for the future, and If he develops as we expect, or how he looks like he has over the last 12 months, if he keeps progressing like that, he has a very high roof. Pick 10, Jacob Farrow is a defender from West Perth. Good ball user, which is probably something that they need at Bomberland in that back line. I think, in my opinion at least. Obviously, Archie Roberts did a pretty good job down there this year, but you can never have too many of them. Mason Redman also has played that role quite a bit over the last year or so. But Jacob Farrow probably almost can slot into this team, I reckon, this year quite comfortably. 188 centimetres. If he can continue to develop the defensive side of his game as well as his ball use, he could be a really good pickup. Dyson Sharp's another one that's a really good pickup in my opinion. Midfielder, 187 centimetres tall from SANFL, played at Central District. Ball winning mid who kicks goals. Looks a really good pick at 13, I think. So just on paper, those three look like some really solid names for the Bombers. They also had two more picks later on in the draft, and I'm going to absolutely butcher Max's name, so I apologise. I will work on it before next season. But Max Kondogiannis, maybe I actually nailed it. I don't know. Defender, 191 centimetres. Defends really well. I think he's a defence-first defender, which is always handy. I think sometimes you do need your ball users out of the back line, but you also need some good defenders. But he's got a little bit of both worlds, in all honesty. Good defender, but also can use the ball quite well. So I think that's a pretty solid pickup at pick 36 for the Bombers. And pick 53 was Hussein El Akhtar, an academy player for them, played it for the Calder Cannons over the last year. Kicks goals, high pressure forward, potentially gets a crack straight up in 2026. Probably not round one, but if he can put in a good preseason and show some good form in the VFL, I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting some action in this forward line that has kind of struggled over the last couple of years at getting small forwards. Obviously, they've got a decent one last year who played every game, but yeah, a partner in crime there would be quite handy for them. So we'll see if that plays out, but certainly a solid enough draft on paper for the Bombers. I think 5 picks. I could see all 5 of them playing at some point this year. Maybe not in their perfect roles for them, but certainly as development in a team that's probably not expected to do great in 2026. I think they've picked up 5 players that definitely could all get a game and get some decent experience heading into the future for the Bombers. Next up, we head across to the west as the Fremantle Dockers. And speaking about Essendon Academy players, that's what the Dockers did with their first pick. At 25, they took the Bombers Academy player Adam Sward, who was a teammate of Hussein El Akhtar at both Calder Cannons and the Junior Football Club of Pascoe Vale. But they're split up here because Essendon did not match the bid. I don't know if they could, or they would have had to pull off some moves or something. I don't know. They were running low on points either way. And the Dockers get him. Pretty solid get for them. Maybe, yeah, arguably maybe early, but we'll see how that plays out. Played really well for Calder. Listed as a mid, plays a bit of forward as well. Probably someone that plays high half forward maybe throughout most of his first couple seasons. Obviously, Fremantle have a pretty solid midfield when it's fit. So there's probably not much room there over the next season or so for them, but we'll see how that plays out. I think they'll be reasonably happy with their pickup though. Pick 40, Tobin Murray, 180 centimetre forward from Geelong Cats VFL team. A couple years older than most, has played VFL for the last 2 years at the Cats, which is pretty solid. Like, it's like mature football. It's as good as football as you can almost get without being in the AFL. So he would have played against a lot of AFL listed players already. Averaged over a goal a game this season for Geelong in the VFL. So a pretty solid pickup at pick 40. I don't think he's someone that we're going to see in like their best 22, but certainly as a depth and role player, he's certainly a potential heading into next year. Got to start calling it best 23 as well, by the way. I keep forgetting that we now don't have the sub rule, but we've got 5 on the bench, so best 23 is the way forward. Busy in the preseason and rookie drafts. Leon Kickett, general forward, they pick up from the Swan Districts, and then a couple South Fremantle Category B rookies in Toby Wan, who's a midfielder, and Ryder Luke, who's a general forward. And just before recording this video, it was made official that Mason Cox will be joining the Fremantle Dockers for 2026 after being delisted by Collingwood. So some interesting times ahead for Fremantle, but they certainly had a busy week or so. Next, we move to the runners-up from last year, and it's the Geelong Cats. And he had 2 picks in the actual draft, 24 and 33, and they stacked up on midfielders. They have a really good record of picking up players around pick 20 to 40 and turning them into stars. So we'll see if that continues. Harley Baker was their first midfielder they took, 188 centimetre midfielder from the SANFL in Sturt, South Australian. He did his ACL late-ish in the season, I think. I can't remember exactly when it was, but certainly won't be ready to go straight away. I doubt we'll see him play AFL in 2026. He will be someone that, after a late start to the preseason, you're probably seeing him play quite a bit of VFL footy, certainly late in next year, and maybe with a full, clean year or so of uninterrupted injuries. He might be looking at maybe midfield time in 2027 for the Cats. Could be completely wrong, but that's just how I read it. Pick 33, Hunter Holmes, brother of Max. Could be another steal for the Cats here. We'll see. Numbers not massive. I think probably from the look of it needs more development and VFL time, some senior football, before we know exactly how good he's going to be. Probably doesn't look as good as Max, but at the same time, Max wasn't like touted as a massive star coming through either. So that's going to be an interesting one, how that plays out over the next couple of years, but I wouldn't expect to see him going straight into this lineup either. They redrafted 2 players, George Stevens and Caton Marifo-Forbes, and in the rookie draft they also pick up Nick Driscoll from the Northern Knights, who's a midfielder, and a Category B rookie from the Geelong Falcons in Jesse Mellor, who's also a midfielder. That's the Cats. Pretty solid, I think, for only 2 picks. Reasonably early-ish, pick 24 and 33. They'll be reasonably happy. I think they got probably what they planned on getting in this draft. Moving in to the Gold Coast Suns, who arguably have the best draft haul, and whether you like it or not, which I think most people don't like it, I'm of the opinion that I like academies and I like father sons. I don't think we should get rid of them. I just think that teams should have to pay more than they currently do. I have a proposition. We're not going to go fully into that today, but basically I think if you're taking someone in the first round, you should definitely be using up a first round draft pick. So in this case, Gold Coast should have needed 4 first round draft picks at least to get this, but that's beside the point. Pick 2, Zeke Euland, who is obviously brother of Bodie. I'm a massive fan of Bodie Euland, and Zeke looks like he might even be better. Completely different player. Shorter, more of a midfielder, big ball winner, inside midfielder that is. Gold Coast Academy player, obviously. They matched West Coast bid on him. Looks like he's going to be a really good player for this Gold Coast Suns. This is another team that has a stacked midfield already, so whether he can find his way into that midfield lineup will be interesting. Maybe they play him off the half back or half forward to start with. We'll see. but they do have a stacked midfield, so they pick up plenty of good midfielders in this draft. At some point, these players aren't all going to be able to stay because there's quite a lot of potential in this midfield over the next couple of years to develop, but they already have last year's Brownlow medalist. They added in Petrarca. They've got Noah Anderson, who's their captain and arguably their best player. So it's going to be a stacked midfield. There's not going to be much room. Pick 5, Dylan Patterson, defender, 184 centimetre, ball user, running, carry player. Had a lot of VFL experience already, so expect to see him slot basically into senior football straight away, I reckon. There's a good chance we'll see him playing a role down back for Gold Coast very early in the AFL season, I think, next year. Pick 17, Jai Murray, another academy player. Midfield numbers in 2025 look really good, shows a lot of promise. Another player that potentially has to start outside of his normal role to fit into this team. I don't think we'll see him straight up, but I think we'll definitely see him at some point in 2026. Pick 18 straight after that, Bo Adamsall. I think West Coast tried to get both of these, and Gold Coast had to pay up. 182 centimetre midfielder from obviously their academy. Can get some big numbers. It's like, as I keep saying, the midfield of Gold Coast is going to be insane. He's another one that, like, they've picked up 3 midfielders already by pick 18 that could potentially be playing in quite a few teams next year, but whether that's Gold Coast, it remains to be seen. Pick 28, they went for a lockdown medium-sized defender in Avery Thomas. Not a big ball user, 185 centimetres from Tasmania. Known mostly for locking down, being more of that defensive-minded player. Can play pretty well one-on-one. Doesn't get big numbers, so that's not what they'll be using him for unless he develops that side of his game. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's pick 28 for the Gold Coast Suns, and the only player that they picked up that was not from their academy. Because pick 46 was Kobe Coulson, who's another academy player, 180 centimetre midfielder. And another potential star. I think this guy looks really good, in all honesty. Arguably as good as some of the ones taken a lot earlier than him. I think this is a really good pickup for Gold Coast Suns. I doubt we'll see him. As I said, their midfield stocks are huge, but he's someone that has the potential to be a really good pickup at pick 46. I think that's a really good get for them. And in the rookie draft, Ben Jepson, they redrafted him, obviously, after delisting him at the end of the season, so they could probably get enough points and wriggle their way into getting all these academy players. Next up, we head to the Giants. They had one pick on day one, pick 15, Oscar Taylor. He's 182 centimetre running defender. Fits in with this GWS mantra. The Tsunami, another player that will probably play that role. I think he's left footer. He's fast. He's a really good ball user. They already have plenty of those stocks down at GWS, but here's another potential one here in Oscar Taylor. Pick 51, Finnegan Davis, defender, slightly taller, 188 centimetre. Defence first defender. Did bulk up his offensive numbers a little bit last year. Got a bit more of it. Oh, this year, I should say, in 2025. Someone that I don't think we'll see much of over the next year or two, but could be a potential player that joins this defensive role later on. I see him as kind of like a Connor Iden in terms of that defence first medium-sized defender, but can use the ball when need to. And pick 59, they just redrafted Jake Stringer after delisting him to try and get whatever they were trying to get, list spots or whatever. So yeah, 59, Jake Stringer. Rookie draft, they also re-rookied Connor Stone, and Riley Hamilton joins the Giants from the Giants Academy as a Category B rookie, a forward line player. There. Moving on to the next team. It's the Hawthorn Hawks. Most people are aware that they're chasing midfielders, and most Hawthorn fans believe they need midfielders. They did eventually go for midfielders, but they started with a couple forwards, a couple tallish forwards as well. Cameron Nairn, forward, pick 20, was their first pickup, 188 centimetres from the SANFL. Both their first two picks from the Central District club in the SANFL. So joining each other over here at Hawthorn now. A good prospect for the future. I don't know if we'll see a heap of him straight away. I think they're looking at one of these two potentially taking over from Jack Gunston eventually. Obviously, two different forwards here. Cameron, probably the more similar to Jack Gunston. Gets around the ground a bit better. Obviously, not quite as tall. So we'll see if he ever manages to get anywhere close to that. Probably not, but that's probably the role they're looking for. Aiden Schubert, bit taller of a key forward, 198 centimetres tall. Arguably one of, if not the best key forwards in the draft this season. He looks like a potential future key forward player that will play a lot of football. So they obviously already have really good key forward stocks at Hawthorn, so interesting choice there. But yeah, it's looking really good for them in terms of that. Pick 34, Jack Dalton, get a midfielder. I think they've done really well in the draft, Hawthorn, if I'm being completely honest. Jack Dalton, I think, is one of the biggest steals in the draft. He could be ready to take a role as an inside mid for Hawthorn this season, pretty early in the season too, potentially. He's quite tall. Is he? Did I make that up? No, he's not tall at all. He's 178 centimetres. I was looking at the wrong line. From Sandringham Dragons, a ball winner. He's a ball winner, and he's going to get plenty of it. So probably a role that Hawthorn need in that midfield, if we're being completely honest. I don't think you can expect too much of a first-year midfielder in terms of just jumping in and doing that. But I think come 2027, second year, he'll start to continue to develop, and I think he could be a really good prospect for them. Pick 56, Matthew Leray, another midfielder. This one's the tall one, 188 centimetres, and their third pickup from Central District in the SANFL. So they've got three players there that have all been together in the SANFL, all joining each other here. So they've gone big on that prospect, haven't they? Outside midfielder, gets plenty of the football, runs all day. I think he's someone that could really take that outside wing role for them on potentially even at some point this season. Obviously, one side is Massimo D'Ambrosio, who had a bit of a down year this year compared to 2024. But maybe Matthew Leray can lock down that other wing position. We'll see how that plays out, but that is a possibility over the next year or two. And in the preseason draft, they get another steal in a lot of people's opinions. Ollie Greaves, a midfielder who can get a lot of touches, can mark the ball a lot, gets a lot of disposals. As a rookie draft player, this is absolutely a good get. So a lot of people had him going pretty early in the actual draft, like first round, basically, and he went through all the way without getting drafted. But Hawthorn have got an absolute steal in him, I think, as well. So I think Hawthorn have almost done one of the best drafts of any club on paper. So they'll be absolutely stoked. Moving on to the Demons. They had 3 draft picks, and it kicked off with number 11, Xavier Taylor. He's a 192 centimetre defender, so can play talls, can play smalls at the moment. He marks the ball pretty well. He was best on ground in a grand final last year in the Coates League. He's someone, I think he had like 14 or 15 marks that day. He's a big ball winner. He's a big ball user, really good ball user. I think we'll see him potentially getting into this Melbourne team pretty early in the season. They obviously have a lot of changes happening at the D's over last year and this year. They got some good young talent last year. Harvey Langford, probably the standout from them last year's draft. Xavier Taylor could be just as good. Different role, but expect to see him getting game times in 2026, in my opinion. Pick 12, straight after that, they get Latrell Pickett, who was a bit of a surprise, I think. I don't think too many people expected them to take him this early. Obviously, um, related to Cozzy Pickett, I think cousins from memory. Yes, cousin. I'm correct. A bit of a bolter. Nobody expected it, but a forward played 3 senior SANFL games last year and kicked 5 goals. I don't think he's ready for the AFL just yet, but obviously after a preseason, who knows? He's certainly someone that has a high roof. Pick 30, Thomas Matthews, forward line player, 171 centimetres, so a small forward. One of the best goal-kicking small forwards in the draft this year. PCL injury interrupted most of his season. I think he only played 3 games in the Coates League this year for Gippsland because of that PCL injury. So I doubt that we'll see him this year in 2026. I think we'll see it as a VFL year for him once he's fully up and going again. But yeah, as I said, one of the better goal-kicking small forwards in the draft, and they are hard to find. So we'll see if he can develop, but he certainly looks pretty decent on paper. 2 players in the rookie draft. Riley Onley, a midfielder from Scotch College Murray Bushrangers, and Kalani White, who obviously is the son of Jeff White. He was part of the Gold Coast Academy. Where am I looking? Yeah, Gold Coast Academy. He chose Melbourne over Gold Coast. I don't think Gold Coast could have drafted him due to the fact that they had that many academy players anyway. But yeah, so he goes to the Melbourne Demons, and yeah, as with most tools, I don't think we'll see much of him in his first year or two. The Kangaroos ended up having a pretty decent day. I think they did better than last year's draft in terms of their position and what they got out of it. Lockie Doverston, a forward line player at pick 16, 178 centimetre forward. We just said that Thomas Matthews was one of the best small goal-kicking smalls in the draft. Lockie Doverston is probably number 1 in that conversation. He's a really talented forward line player. I expect that we'll see him playing senior football this season in 2026. I would imagine we'll see him play at least half the games in 2026 in this North Melbourne forward line. So expect to see a bit of him this year. Blake Threadgold was picked 26, a key defender. I mean, North Melbourne just needs stocks all around the ground in most positions, let's be honest. 195 centimetre key defender from the SANFL. Like with most players, key defense, but key forwards as well. Probably not going to get huge game time in the AFL over the next couple of years, but certainly someone that they will be hoping they can develop into a really good key defender for this team going forward. Pick 48, Hugo Mukunda, a midfielder from the Geelong Falcons. High half forward, midfield sort of player. Can win a fair bit of the football. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some game time this year. I don't think we'll see much of him, but probably a handful of games maybe in that half forward role. He won't get into their midfield, I wouldn't imagine, but just yet. But yeah, 3 picks. I think they did pretty well. I don't think they'll be too disappointed with how they went. So yeah, basically the long and the short of it, that is it. Next up is Port Adelaide, first, because they didn't do anything in the national draft. They sent 10 people to Marvel Stadium for draft nights, the 2 nights, and they ended up just passing on their first pick, which was like pick 50 odd, might have been 40 something, I can't remember where it was exactly, but they do not pick up a player in the draft. So not much to talk about there. They did pick up Jack Watkins in the rookie draft from their SANFL team. So midfielder, we'll see how that plays out for them, but pretty uneventful couple of nights for Port Adelaide. Next up, we have the Richmond Tigers, who had those 2 first-round picks. Sam Cumming, midfielder from Adelaide, North Adelaide, Goal kicking midfielder, 184 centimetres. I think has one of the higher ceilings of the midfielders in this draft class. I don't think he's quite as advanced at the moment, but I think he has a very big potential. So we'll see if that plays out. But certainly a good prospect going forward. They are a team that is stacked up on young talent, and having one that's probably not quite as advanced might not be such a bad thing. We'll see how that plays out. Next up is another Samuel Grill, midfielder from the Oakley Chargers. Fast, hard-running midfielder. Not a massive ball winner so far in his career, but an X-Factor type of player. He can break a game open, so keep an eye on him. He has a fascinating surname. Plenty of nicknames already, apparently. 182 centimetres. I would be surprised if we don't see quite a bit of him playing at least a half-forward role for Richmond in 2026. Pick 31, Zane Puka, forward, 180 centimetres, also from South Australia. This one from Woodville, West Torrens. More of a long-term prospect, I would have thought. He will probably get some forward line opportunities at times over the next couple of years for Richmond. They're not stacked up there, but I don't think he's probably as far advanced as some of the medium-sized forwards taken in this draft. Pick 54, Noah Roberts-Thompson. You'll know that surname related to, I think, cousin of Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Midfielder, 181 centimetres. Third player that the Tigers have taken from South Australia in this draft. Under 18 numbers look really solid. I would imagine he's more of a VFL player this year for the first season or so, but certainly someone that has some good prospect as a late draft pick. We'll see how he develops, but that's how I see the Tigers draft stocks from this year. They took no one in the rookie/preseason draft. Next up, we head to St Kilda, who had one of the biggest trade week/free agency weeks, maybe in the history of the game. They also did some drafting as well. 3 picks, all late. Pick 41, Charlie Banfield. Was a father-son prospect for the West Coast Eagles, but the Eagles did not match it. He's from Claremont in the Waffle, 192 centimetre tall midfielder. So quite a big boy, ready to go. Big-bodied mid. Does he get game time in this midfield at St Kilda? Probably not straight away, but he's certainly more of a long-term prospect, I reckon, for them. They're hoping he can develop into an inside mid at some point for their team. Pick 52, Kai Fincher. He, in my opinion, I think I'm reading the wrong line. No, might not be. Midfielder, rebounding defender sort of player. Probably gets some games this year, maybe, depending on injuries and what they need and how he's travelling. But certainly someone that I could see playing maybe a couple of games at some point. And pick 58, Ryan Burns, right at the end. They just redrafted him after delisting him. We obviously know all about him. Preseason/rookie draft. Patrick said they've redrafted him as well. Moving on to Sydney Swans. Tough year for the Swannies this year, dropping out of finals after losing the grand final the year before. They had an early pick in Harry Kyle, pick 14. They won't have a first-round pick for the next 2 seasons after this, unless they trade for it, because they traded it away for Charlie Curnow. But Harry Kyle, defender, 188 centimetres, so that mid to tall, not quite a tall defender, but mid-sized defender from their academy. So he may, this is hypothetical, but could be someone that develops even maybe into a big-bodied midfielder, hard-tackling midfielder, maybe at some point. But I think we'll see him start his career as that lockdown kind of medium-sized third tall defender, maybe. I don't know if we'll see him get game time straight away, probably not. But he is someone that may be ready late next season. We'll see. Pick 35, Jevon Philippou, brother of Mateus from St Kilda. I think probably full-time VFL for him at the moment. 183 centimetre midfielder. It's very hard to get game time in this Sydney Swans midfield, and I would imagine we probably won't see him. If we do, it'll be more of that half-forward role, I think. They do obviously have potentially a spot or two in that small to medium-sized midfield, not midfield, forward line opening up. Obviously, no longer have Will Hayward, so maybe there's an opportunity there. Billy Cootie, pick 42, another midfielder, 179 centimetres. Mature age player. He's, 5 years older than most people taken in this draft. Numbers are okay in the SANFL this year. Played for Norwood, sorry. Good season from him, good numbers. He's a depth player, in my opinion. Someone that they're not expecting to blow the walls off the building, but someone that if they do have injuries could potentially fit into that role as a mature age body sort of midfielder. So we'll see. And pick 49, Max King, another academy player for them. So they got two academy players in Harry Kyle and Max King. Another Max King in the competition, 192 centimetre key forward, long-term key forward prospect. Now gets to work alongside Charlie Curnow. Probably won't see him out on the ground in the AFL, but training alongside Charlie Curnow could help him quite a lot. So we'll see how that plays out. Not too dissimilar in size to Charlie Curnow, who's not the tallest of key forwards. So I think that will be a really good development for him. And preseason rookie draft, they redrafted a couple senior players in Jake Lloyd and Dane Rampy. They also got a couple more key forward position players, Noah Chamberlain and Liam Heatherton, getting picked up as Category B rookies. Couple teams left to go. So we head over to the West, and the West Coast Eagles, who had draft pick number 1, and they picked up Willem Dersma, 193 centimetre midfielder, but can play a variety of positions. Gippsland Power prospect, versatile, plays a lot of positions. Played a couple games at Casey Demons and looked to fit right in there last season. Massive improver, in my opinion, from 24 to 25. At the start of, or this time last year, you would have said first round draft pick. You would have probably said maybe top 10, but you wouldn't have said a lock for number 1. Whereas come the end of the season, I think most people were of the opinion that he was the number 1 draft pick and should be the number 1 draft pick. Has quite a lot of potential. We'll see, no doubt see him very early season. I don't know what role West Coast will choose for him to start off with. I doubt that very much. They'd put him straight into the inside mid role. I could see him playing outside mid on one of the wings a fair bit early season. I could see him running off halfback flank maybe. There's certainly a lot of potential there, and certainly going forward between him, the next player in Cooper Duff-Tytler, and also Harley Reid 2 years ago, number 1 draft pick. If they can keep all of them, all 3 of those, in about 5 years' time, this midfield might be really, really good. Obviously, Cooper Duff-Tytler is a ruckman, not a midfielder, but will be in that midfield range. So pick 4, they pick up him, 201 centimetre ruck that rolls forward, can kick goals. He gets around the ground really, really well. Think of someone like a Luke Jackson. Hypothetically, I don't know if he'll be as good as Luke Jackson, but he gets around the ground, he can kick goals. He can pick the ball up off the ground. So look for him to fit into this team reasonably early. Most ruckmen take a while, which is understandable, and he might be someone that takes a while as well, but that doesn't mean he won't be getting game time in this West Coast team. They are a team that really struggle in the ruck department and have done for the last few years. Basically since the retirement of Natanui, they have struggled in the ruck department, and this might be their godsend. He'll probably get game time this year, which is very unusual for a first-year ruck. He played 1 game in the VFL, kicked 3 goals, so look for him at some point. Pick 19 was Josh Lindsay, 183 centimetre defender from the Geelong Falcons. Good ball user. Probably another one that will get game time this year. They're a developing team that only won one game last year. They do get a few players back from injury, mainly speaking Elliot Yeo, but obviously in the midfield. But I think Josh Lindsay is someone that they will be looking to get out on the field for plenty of experience this year. Pick 29, Sam Allen, 184 centimetre forward. So medium-sized forward that can play a little bit of outside mid. Did do his ACL this year. I think it was pretty early in the year. So I don't think he's going to miss too much of the preseason. But he might be someone that needs a year in the waffle just to get himself going after missing most of his final year as a junior. Pick 39, Tyler Williams, academy player, Swan Districts, fast and exciting small forward. Had a little bit of a glimpse at senior waffle football this year and wasn't terrible. I don't think he's quite ready for AFL just yet, as you would imagine. A pick 39 in general forward would be, but I think he's certainly someone that over the next couple of years could really develop with consistent waffle time, so we'll watch out for him. Preseason rookie draft, Fred Rodriguez, a midfielder from South Fremantle, heads to the Eagles as well. Final club to look at, it's the Western Bulldogs. They used up 3 picks. Pick 21, academy player from Sydney Swans, who the Swans did not match. Lachlan Carmichael, 184 centimetre defender, midfield sort of hybrid sort of player. Some people were saying Bontempelli-like. I think that's a big stretch. Not to say that he's not going to be good or that he's not already quite good. It's just Bontempelli is the best player in the competition. So yeah, I think a really good pickup for them though, and probably a role that could be really beneficial for him too, starting on that halfback flank. Obviously their midfield depth is really strong already. Adding another ball-using defender to work with Bailey Dale, I think will be really beneficial for the Bulldogs. Pick 27, they got Lewis Emmett from the Oakley Chargers, long-term prospect as a forward slash key, ruckman slash key forward, 200 centimetres. We won't see him just yet. I wouldn't imagine he'll be more someone that we see maybe 2027 and beyond. And pick 60, Will Darcy, I think is the final pick in the draft. Father, son, obviously the brother of Sam Darcy, a lot shorter. But Sam Darcy's an absolute freak of nature in height. Will Darcy's 196 centimetres, so still very tall. I think they're eyeing him off for more of a key defence role instead of the key forward role like his brother. I think likely to play back, probably starts in the VFL. I wouldn't imagine we'll see him get AFL time this year. I think it's a long-term prospect for them, even though they are struggling in that key defence post at the moment and need a fix for that. I don't think he's going to be that fix just yet. He's going to need a year or two, I reckon, at least, to bulk up and be ready to take on key forwards in the AFL. And yeah, that's basically the long and the short of the draft. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all 18 teams. It was a bit of a longish episode, I guess. I think we went through it all. Final thoughts on the draft? I don't know. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how some of these players fit into their new teams because, yeah, while it wasn't that surprising the first night, I think there's a couple little smokies that got picked up, as we mentioned, throughout the draft. So, yeah, that's basically it. Make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button, depending what platform you're on. We go live once to twice every single week on Spotify, YouTube, and on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to go check out the YouTube channel if you're not there already. Check out all the other videos we do as well. Check out all the social medias. We got TikTok, Facebook. We don't really use Facebook. Instagram, X, Blue Sky. We've got them all. Go check it out. All Aussie Rules everywhere. We're going to be back in a couple days' time on Thursday morning with our AFLW episode, previewing the big AFLW Grand Final this weekend. So make sure you go check that out when it drops. AFLW Awards Night tonight at time of recording, and probably release of this video as well. So we'll probably go through some of that content as well in the next episode of the podcast. So come back, check that out. All Aussie Rules everywhere. I'm Jay. This has been another episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.